You're listening to the Future of Convenience podcast, brought to you by Global Convenience Store Focus, featuring senior retail executives and experts in the global convenience, fuels, and mobility retail industry. Welcome to the Future of Convenience podcast. I'm Carolyn, Schnare, and today we're going to talk about the best EV hub in the world 2025 competition, where we just announced a winner. And of course, this is a very big story, not just because we're talking with the operator of the very best EV hub in the entire world, but because we're looking at EV growth in the largest world market for electric vehicles. So today I'm happy to be joined by Dan Munford once again, my co-host, to talk about this year's competition. Hey, Dan.
Hey, Carolyn, how are you doing? Nice to join you today and talking about some very exciting stuff, I have to say.
We're also pleased to welcome back Elaine, Kanak, Chief Marketing Officer for Vontier, who was a key sponsor of this year's competition. Hi, Elaine.
Hi, thanks so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
Well, thanks for coming on. And of course, congratulations to Chuan Hu, Vice President of Mobility and Convenience. How are you? Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Carolyn. Very happy to join.
Dan, why don't you go ahead and kick us off? Tell about this year's competition and last week's results.
I'd love to. Well, this has been, as ever, we've reached the point, after many months. This all started back in January. Obviously, we had a period of intense visits to sites. And then we created some very detailed online profiles, so the whole world could look at, the 18 entries to this year's Best EV Hub in the World competition. And those entries, obviously this is also a research exercise. So, those entries were pretty detailed and get everybody a very good idea of where this is all going. Overall, just as a sort of summary of where the competition was before we get into the interview, overall, our biggest learning this year, we felt, is if you looked at the top 10, Elaine, I don't know what you think about this, but if you looked at the top 10, we felt, all of the top 10 are really focused on being good retailers. And of course, being a good retailer, it's all about choosing the right locations and getting the customer experience right. And we just felt that, the level was elevated this year. And if you looked at the top 10, it was very impressive. Elaine, I don't know whether you felt the same way.
Yeah, absolutely. We have over 500,000 C-stores worldwide running our technologies and over 110,000 EV charging points under management. And, we do fundamentally believe that C-stores have the right to win when it comes to electric charging. They're convenient, they're safe. Research shows safety is a number one consideration for where to charge. And they offer a range of services and amenities that make them a really ideal destination. So, these three winners and in fact, all of the entries, it was really exciting to see how they're delivering a really elevated consumer experience that's really seamless across both traditional fuel and electric charging, as well as a wide range of amenities and services that make them a real destination.
Yeah, absolutely. And we saw the full sort of spectrum of that, didn't we, in terms of what's happening in different markets, Elaine. And of course, then it came to last week. And the way we do this is very much a global competition. So we can't expect everybody to turn up one evening, somewhere in the world and wait for the result. So, the result has to be a video reveal, and everyone gathers around. And we know a lot of the competitors gather around and they listen to the results, and then we have a voiceover, really cool voiceover, not mine, professional voiceover. And then we heard that we heard about the top three. We heard that Circle K came in third, Westmoreland in the UK came in second, and Shell came in first. And this brings me to our special guest today, because you were all cheering, I think, Chuan Hu, when you heard the news.
Indeed. It's such a surprise and also so much joy to celebrate with the team all over China and all over Shell, because I think it's a very timely reward. We are in a very interesting conjunction to further and continue our journey. So the recognition gives us more confidence.
And very interesting. Tell us about the sites. Shell Recharge at Baoan Airport in Shenzhen. Tell us about the sites. Obviously, you know it very well.
Absolutely. Firstly, I warmly welcome everyone to join us to visit Baoan site in person. It is indeed a reflection of all the collective efforts we have put into the e-mobility development. This year is the 131 year in China of Shell. Actually, we have very long history here, but the e-mobility journey only started around 2018. And we started with the site with only probably 2 or 4 charging points. Along the journey, we started to see there are really, really high demand coming in, and the customers started to say, oh, Shell is transforming. You are providing a lot of great service. Now it's time for charging, and I want to give you this different feedbacks. So we spend a lot of time to improve our customer experience. From the charging success rate always above 99%, the upside rate always above 99%, and we are constantly thinking how to offer the best experience to the site. So Bao'an site is the example that we have 6 offers in one site, and every day we serve over 3,000 customers. And actually, we're selling more than 200 different coffees to customers. So it's a great example of when we work customer-centric, when customer give us feedback, and we pilot and innovate, and everything can turn out to be really, really big and really, really great.
Well, it's a huge. I mean, there are huge numbers, aren't they, Elaine? You know, in terms of the volume of customers coming through this site. I mean, this is at scale, isn't it?
Yeah, I was so impressed by the sheer scale and efficiency of the site, and the integration of personalization to drive customer loyalty. That's really the direction we see the market going. In fact, our customers around the world are regularly telling us they're looking to drive growth and improve productivity, and you're really doing both at your site with remote monitoring and management tools to drive uptime, and of course the full suite of 24/7 on-site amenities. It's a really powerful draw. So congratulations.
Thank you, Elaine.
Antoine, tell us about, I'm just thinking about some of the difficulties of running such a busy site. I mean, with so many charges. So, I mean, I think that's the thing everybody took from what was a very good video, by the way. I think the video was really important in showing that kind of volume, because it was a time elapsed video, and you could just see, the number of customers, number of vehicles coming on to charge on the site. But how difficult is it to manage to maintain that level of uptime? How do you manage that? Because I think, if you pull up and the chargers aren't working on a site that busy, it's a problem, isn't it?
Indeed, because when we start the journey, the customers, the number one request for them is to ensure we have the reliability, because this distance range anxious is still there. And when they come, they really want to ensure we have the great products and services. And maybe let me frame it this way. We grow this site together with our partner BYD. This site belongs to the joint venture we have had with BYD. And when we have the opportunity to retrofit the site, to rebrand the site, we are really asking ourselves how to differentiate and how to ensure that we have the best products and services. So the sheer scale and the charging points are indeed the biggest of Shell in China. It has around 258 charging points. In terms of volume and customer visits, it's also the biggest one in the entire Shenzhen city. So indeed, it's very, very big and very, very challenging to maintain the cleanness, the reliability, the security, etc. We probably have 3 key winning formulas. Number one is it is not only the forecourt, it's actually indeed a combination of both software and hardware. We ensure we put the best charger we have on the ground. We deploy them in a way that we manage the flow of the traffic in the most safe and compliant way. And thirdly is in China, we built an in-house EV center that help us to monitor the performance of each nozzle, each charger by minute. So whenever there is a problem, we can quickly identify the problem and improve the performance, both on site and digitally on the cloud. So that all help us to make the customer experience very seamless.
Well, very, very impressive. Tell us a bit about your customer profiles in terms of the kinds of customers that are charging on the site, because we're all very interested to read about that.
Indeed. And this site is located very near to the Shenzhen Bao'an Airport. which is one of the most busy airport in China, in southern China. And near the airport, there are just so many cars, especially the professional drivers, commercial drivers, taxi drivers. They are waiting for their passengers, but they also look for places to recharge and fulfill many different shopping missions, ranging from take care of their car or get a coffee for themselves, for dining. So now for this site, over 80% are all the commercial drivers, around 20% are the taxi drivers. And sometimes we also have people coming all the way just trying to recharge on this site. But they are all very friendly and lovely customers who really repeat purchase on the site as long as we constantly deliver what we promised.
Yeah, well, very, very impressive. And I guess it's, the challenge of keeping those 258 chargers all working because you need to is, is not a small challenge. So congratulations on reaching some of those numbers. I mean, I suppose the other really interesting thing about, this conversation, and obviously the fact that China has won the competition this year, is just thinking about the scale of the EV expansion in the Chinese market. I guess, in terms of the energy transition and the mobility transition, if that's what we call it, it almost depends where you live in the world, doesn't it? If you're in China, over 50% of car sales are EV. If you're in Europe, it's between 20 and 25%, depending on which country you live in Europe. In the US, it's around about 10%, so, and obviously there are lots of other countries with different numbers in between. So it very much, this is a kind of, it's a messy transition to electric vehicles, isn't it? Because it's not the same everywhere. But, there's some, obviously China is especially interesting because of the scale and the speed of the transition. And obviously, that's, Elaine, I don't know what your thoughts are with Vontier's global perspective on this, but I mean, it makes it a fascinating market, doesn't it?
I certainly think so. So we're seeing a very uneven adoption of EV globally. And we believe that traditional gas and electrification are going to coexist for a long time alongside other alternative fuels like CNG, RNG, hydrogen, et cetera. But regardless of the pace of the transition, we need to meet our C-store customers where they are and help them along their sustainability journey. So Norway is a good indicator of what's possible. 90% of new car sales are electric. Country has a really robust EV infrastructure. Part of that's driven by government incentives, but that's not the only driver. Operators there have found a way to solve for what we call the energy trilemma of balancing sustainability, energy security, and profitability. Meanwhile, you mentioned the US. EV infrastructure supply in the US is nowhere near current demand, even at 10% of sales. Only 3% of C-store operators in the US offer charging today. And our estimates are that you need over 200,000 fast chargers in the US to meet demand through 2030. So it's really exciting to see how EV infrastructure is evolving rapidly in China and Southeast Asia, and take inspiration from what's happening there and learn from the best practices there. And one of the things that we get asked about a lot from our customers is solutions that help them manage multi-energy estates and how to provide seamless consumer experiences across different platforms of traditional gas and EV. And also advice on how and where to invest, because it is not a linear adoption.
No, I'm absolutely right, and it's it's obviously a question of where you put the investment in. But I guess it's easier in China in a sense to, you can see the demands there now, can't you, Chuan, in terms of the Chinese consumers' love affair for electric vehicles. Is that fair comment? Because I mean, looking at all the car shows and so on, it looks like a love affair with electric vehicles to me.
Firstly, I think China is probably the biggest car market in the world. Every year we sell around 23 to 25 million new cars annually. And China is also a big market. We have more than probably 160 cities across this country. So when we look at the penetration and the growth, we really felt different cities have its own pace. And of course, the governments, the suppliers, players like us, operators, and also the OEMs all play a key role to make the ecosystem work. For this site in Shenzhen, because Shenzhen is really a city of innovation, it inhabited of BYD, it inhabited many large companies like Tencent, and a lot of young people are living there, and they love better products. They love digitally connected EVs. And they are probably the first city in the world to achieve like 1 million EVs in one city. And the governor, mayor of Shenzhen, also have a dream to build more EV sites than petrol stations in this city. So the infrastructure is not a problem. Actually, the government is working with us, with all the big operators to see how can the government also contribute to their part. So I think it's really to help everyone in this ecosystem feel that we will have a brighter future. So if we keep investing, if we keep building better products, we will have a better future.
Very interesting. And what's next for the Shell and the Shell Recharge team in China in terms of the types of site that you'll be building? Have you opened anything else recently? Obviously, this site has been open and is hugely successful. Have you got any new plans for building something different or new?
Yes, that's a great question. I think we have just so many great ideas because this site is the biggest we have had yet. To be frank, we may not have planned to build an even bigger one, but we are looking at a different white spot to help the customers with the similar good experience and a seamless experience. Because what we found out is when you have an EV and when more and more people have an EV and when they're familiar with your brand, they keep asking us like, can you come closer to me? I play in the theater and I work in the hospital, etc., etc. So now for our network playing work, we are really trying to bring the convenience to the next level. Because for this site, 3,000 customers come, but there are more chances we can build probably hundreds of stations, different locations, every day serve 200, 300 different customers. So the next thing for us is not only to have this big mega flagship site, but we're really trying to bring the convenience for the network perspective, but also to keep upgrading our software, digital experience, build ecosystem partners. Everything are exciting from us at this stage.
Well, it sounds pretty exciting. Elaine, what do you think? I'm very much looking forward to taking a close look at what's happening in the Shenzhen electric car story, I think we can call it. It's going to be very interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Excited to see your future successes and continue to see how you grow in China and what we can learn from the best practices that you're laying the foundation for there.
And I think that all it remains to say is, Chuan, is to congratulate you and your team, the whole Shell China team, for this achievement. A lot of people want to win this competition and you won it this year. So, congratulations to the best EV hub in the world, Shell in Shenzhen, China. Well done. And thank you very much for taking part and talking to us today.
Thank you again for giving us this really, really big prize. And again, I think it's really up to the entire Shell family, locally, globally, and all the leaders across the world to support us. And also Dan, yourself, Caroline, Elaine, to organize this great event. We also learn a lot from all the players around the world. This industry is just the beginning. Shell want to be the best e-mobility operator and also want to make customers' life easier, better, more convenient. So we will continue our journey, and we also looking forward to your visit to us and give us more advice how to do even better.
Well, I'm going to be there to learn, I think, more than anything else. But thank you very much, and I can't wait.
Yes, thank you so much. And thank you, Elaine and Chuan. Thank you for joining us. Go ahead and check out the Shell site on our website. And we're also going to put that in the show notes, a link so you can see everything with this really cool station that we just heard about. So thanks again for joining us. And thank you for listening to the Future of Convenience podcast. You've been listening to the Future of Convenience podcast, produced by Dan Munford, Nick Scherzer, Jenna Ferguson, and Lorraine Evans. It is produced, edited, and mixed by Carolyn, Schnare, and music is provided by Jukebox Music. Learn more at globalconveniencestorefocus.co.uk.